Good morning, my wonderful students and listeners out there. I hope you are having a nice day. I'm still your favorite government teacher by name, Victor Orajaka. Today, I am going to take you on the topic Citizenship Rights, Duties, and Obligations of an Individual in a State. I come again. Citizenship rights, duties, and obligations of an individual in a state. So, the objectives of this lesson, it is expected that by the end of this lesson, the students should be able to define a citizen, explain how one can become a citizen. The students should also be able to discuss the rights, duties, and obligations of a citizen, and also be able to differentiate between citizen and non-citizen. All right. Let us go immediately with the definition of a citizen. So we define a citizen. A citizen is a legal member of a state with full constitutional or legal rights in the country in which he or she resides. I take it again. A citizen is a legal member of a state with full constitutional or legal rights in the country in which he or she resides. So if one has full rights in a country that is accepted by law, recognized as a member, as a person with every entitlement in the country, then that person is a citizen. So when we move on, we'll be able to understand the concept better. And we go immediately to the ways of acquiring citizenship. What are the ways through which someone can become a citizen of a country? Number one, by birth. By birth means like if your father or mother is a citizen of that country, then automatically you are a citizen of that country. The second one is naturalization. I believe we can spell naturalization. Yeah. So naturalization involves when a person has lived for a number of years in a country, and that person having qualified, having met that requirement, is adopted as a citizen of that country. Another one is by marriage or registration. For instance, if a Nigerian marries a Ghanaian or a Nigerian marries a British person, then that person, by virtue of marriage, can be registered as a citizen of that country. This mainly applies to women. For instance, when an Indian man marries a Chinese woman, then that Chinese woman can be registered as a citizen of India by virtue of marriage. Then we have also what is called honorary citizenship. That's another way of acquiring citizenship. Somebody can achieve something very great. Like, let us look at the case of Philip Emeagwali, for instance, the father of supercomputer. Such an achievement can make a country to confer honorary citizenship on that individual. So when we look at people like Chinua Achebe, people like Chimamanda Adichie, you see that most of them somehow have become citizens of America. So we are conferred with the citizenship on honorary basis. And then we have also what is called dual citizenship. That's another way of acquiring citizenship, dual citizenship. When a Nigerian, for instance, goes to America to give birth, that child born in America, for the fact that he was born in that country, becomes a citizen of that country, while also still being a citizen of his original country. That is called dual citizenship. So these are the ways of acquiring citizenship. Let us look at the qualifications for citizenship. How can one qualify as a citizen of a country? Number one, statutory age. Every country in the world has a particular age which you must reach before they can accept you as a citizen. Most times it takes place in naturalization. For instance, most countries you cannot naturalize in the country unless you reach the age of reason, which many people pin at 18 years. So statutory age must be met. Another qualification for citizenship is what? Good character. Any person being adopted as a citizen of a country must be of good character, must have no criminal record, must respect the government, and so on and so forth. Then another qualification for citizenship is residence. Residence. Most countries have a number of years you must live continuously in that country before you are accepted as a citizen. I think in Nigeria we have about 15 years. Most countries pin their residence years from 7 to 15 years. So once you meet that condition, you are qualified to be a citizen of that country. Then another thing is what is called willingness to live and stay in the country. You must show willingness before you qualify as a citizen. And then lastly, contribution towards progress. So if you want to be a citizen of a country, you must be contributing towards the progress of that country. You must not work against the government. You must not work against the values and the standards of living within the country. So these are the ways by which an individual can qualify for citizenship. Let us look at the ways of depriving or losing citizenship. Ways of depriving or losing citizenship. Number one, through disloyalty. If you are disloyal, disloyalty means you don't have respect, maybe for the government, maybe for the constitution of the country, maybe for the values and principles that guide the country. When you show disloyalty, you can lose the citizenship that was given to you. Most times it happens in naturalization and sometimes even in marriage. So a person must be loyal before he or she is a citizen, or is accepted as a citizen. And if he or she shows signs of disloyalty, the citizenship can be taken away. Secondly, by supporting another country, you can lose your citizenship. For instance, maybe in the case of war, two countries, the country in which you are a citizen and another country are having an instance of war, and you come to support another country against your own country, then that can make you to lose your citizenship. Another one is false declaration. False declaration. For instance, I have said already that there are some age limits that countries set for themselves, which an individual must reach before he or she is accepted as a citizen. So let's say that you declared your age falsely. Maybe you are 16 years and you said you are 18, and the citizenship is given to you. When this is discovered, that citizenship will be taken away, and it becomes a way of depriving or losing citizenship. Another way is by treason. Treason. I have to write the spelling of treason. Treason. So treason means betrayal. Betrayal, especially against government. So when you are found guilty of this treason, then you can lose your citizenship. Another one is by renouncement. Renouncement. When someone comes out and says, I am no longer the citizen of this nation. Like in Nigeria, for instance, some sections of the country, we see people who are renouncing their citizenship, and so then it becomes a way of losing the citizenship, because there is what is called freedom of conscience. We will come to fundamental human rights. So if somebody says, I am no longer a citizen of a country, then you lose the citizenship. All right. So from there we progress to rights of a citizen. Rights of a citizen. What rights has a citizen in a country? So that takes us to, first of all, the definition of fundamental human rights. Fundamental human rights, because this is what every government in the world wants to protect. Every government in the world wants to protect the fundamental human rights of the citizens. So we take a technical definition of fundamental human rights. Fundamental human right means that every individual at birth is endowed with certain rights. Every individual at birth is endowed with certain rights. So we are going to list those rights of a citizen or of an individual as enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that was given on 10th December 1948 by the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA. So the United Nations General Assembly gave the Declaration of Human Rights on 10th December 1948. That is why every 10th December is celebrated as Human Rights Day in the whole world. In the international scene, every 10th December is celebrated as Human Rights Day because of this declaration by the United Nations General Assembly. So let us list the fundamental human rights. Number one, right to life, security and protection of law, and undisturbed access to the court of law. Mainly, let's understand this as just right to life so that we don't confuse ourselves. Right to life. The government of every country has to protect the lives of the citizen. It's a fundamental human right. Another one is freedom and protection from slavery and forced labor. Freedom from slavery or forced labor. So no one has to force the other to do a work. You have freedom from that. Another one is right to ownership of property. These are fundamental human rights. Right to ownership of property. As far as you did not steal it, as far as you have the facilities to acquire it, you have right to own any property. So if you are 3 years and you feel that you can buy a Lamborghini, you can have Lamborghini unless you suffer from the limitations of human rights, which we are going to come to. As far as your rights are not limited by any of the factors that we are going to mention, then you are free to own anything. So you have rights to ownership of property. Another one is what is called right to vote and be voted for during elections. So when we treated universal adult suffrage, we talked about the right every adult has to vote and be voted for during election. So once you are up to the age required for election, you can vote and be voted for. No matter what your creed, no matter what your color, no matter what your ethnicity, and so on and so forth. Then another universal human right is right to freedom of movement without restraint. Freedom of movement can go to anywhere you want, as far as your rights are not what? Limited. Then another one is freedom of forming or joining political association. Freedom of joining political association or forming political. Within democracy, you are free to form political organizations, political parties, and so on and so forth. Another right is what? Right to education. Right to education. Just like what you are enjoying right now, it is your right. It's a fundamental human right of an individual. You have right to what? Education. So that is why even when you are at home, the teachers are making effort to feed you with something because it is their right. So another right of an individual is freedom of speech or expression, and then freedom of press. They go together. So everybody has right to say what he or she likes, as far as you don't trample on the right of the other. You have right to praise the government. You have right to criticize the government. You have right to criticize an individual. You have right to praise an individual, and so on and so forth. Another fundamental human right is right to fair hearing. Right to fair hearing. So you have right to express yourself. You have right to say what you want to say what you mean, express yourself in every circumstance. Then finally, freedom of conscience and religion. Freedom of conscience or religion. So you have right to belong to any religious organization or religious group. You have right to profess any faith that you want. These are fundamental human rights that cannot be trampled upon. Then we look at the duties and obligations of a citizen in a state. Duties or obligations of a citizen in a state. What are the things expected of a citizen in a state? Number one, payment of taxes. A citizen is expected to be paying his or her taxes to the government. Another one is obedience to law. A citizen is expected to obey the laws and constitutions of the state. Voting during elections, that's another obligation. Voting at election, as far as you have reached the age required for election, you are expected to vote. Then detection and prevention of crimes. Whenever a crime is taking place around you, you are supposed to cooperate with the security agencies, report the crime, and together with the government find a solution. Is a duty, is an obligation of a citizen in a state. Another one is respect for the rights of individuals. A citizen is expected as a duty to respect the rights of individuals within the state. And then also respect for national symbols. A citizen of a state is expected to respect the national symbols of that state. For instance, when the national anthem is going on, for instance, the citizen is expected to respect, maybe by standing at attention or any other way of showing respect for the coat of arms, for the national flag, and so on and so forth. So all these symbols, it is a duty of the citizen to respect them. And then also, another duty or obligation of a citizen is what? National service. In Nigeria, we have what is called National Youth Service Corps. Is a body that organizes national service in Nigeria. So a citizen is expected to undergo what? National service. National service. And then finally, we talk about loyalty. Loyalty. So it's a duty of a citizen to be loyal to the state in terms of the government and so on and so forth. Let us look at the ways by which a citizen's right can be safeguarded. Ways by which a citizen's right can be safeguarded. What are the ways? What are the things that should be done to protect the right of a citizen? Number one, we talk about law. Law. So the rights of a citizen is supposed to be part of the law, part of the things governing the land, part of the constitution of the state, so that it will be well respected. The second point is independent judiciary. So the judges in the judiciary must be free and fair in their judgment. They must be free from influences from the executive especially. They must be able to take their decisions according to the dictates of the law. Then, the third way by which a citizen's right can be safeguarded is by adopting what? Democracy. Because most systems of government in the world, most of them in one way or the other limit the rights of a citizen. It's only democracy that can guarantee the full respect of the rights of an individual. Then the fourth point is entrenchment. Entrenchment. So the fundamental human rights of an individual in a state must be entrenched in the constitution of that state. For instance, in the country Nigeria, the constitution in use is the 1999 constitution as amended. So inside the constitution, you find the fundamental human rights that the government makes effort to protect. All of them are entrenched in the constitution. Then another way of safeguarding the citizens' right is by what? Free press. Free press. So the press must be free. People must be free to write what they want, to say what they want, and so on and so forth. Then another way is existence of human rights commission. Existence of human rights. For instance, there is something that is called ombudsman. Ombudsman. Ombudsman is public complaint commission that you find mainly on local government level, where people can go to complain about infringement in their individual rights. So such a body can help to safeguard the rights of an individual. If you go to Abuja, for instance, there is a radio station called Human Rights Radio. Human Rights Radio. So all of these human rights commissions, they help to do or safeguard the citizens' right. Then finally, we talk about rule of law. Rule of law. Supremacy of the constitution. Nobody is above the law. So when it is in practice, then you see that the rights of every individual will be respected. But whereby there are sacred cows within the law, then those people can trample on the rights of the others. So rule of law is very, very necessary and is one of the basic features of democracy. Then we look at limitations to a citizen's rights. Limitations to a citizen's rights. What are those things that can make a person to lose his or her rights to some extent, not have full access to his or her rights anymore? This is a very, very recurrent exam question, so pay great attention here. So limitations to a citizen's right. Number one, we talk about the type of government. The type of government in place. For instance, if you have military system of government, there is no way the rights of an individual can be guaranteed, because military system more or less is a freestyle. Anybody can make a decree or edit and trample on your right. If you trace back to Nigeria in let me not mention any particular year, but during the military rule, you see what the government can say, this will be this, and once you don't do it that way, your rights can be trampled on, and so on and so on. So the type of government matters. When you look at authoritarian system or totalitarian system, like what you have in North Korea today under Kim Jong-un, you see that in such a system of government, the rights of an individual cannot be guaranteed. Then another limitation of a citizen's right is what? State of emergency. When there is an emergency period, like something may happen and the government declares a state of emergency, soldiers and the police and all those security agencies will take over the government and do with you probably anything they like. So your rights cannot be guaranteed again, and then it becomes a limitation to a citizen's right. Then the third point is what? Conviction. Let me write it. Conviction. Conviction. That it means what? When somebody is found guilty of an offense, let's say that a competent court of law finds you guilty of murder, for instance, you have lost your human rights somehow, and your rights are already what? Limited, because you can be sentenced to capital punishment and so on and so forth. So another limitation to a citizen's right is what? Death sentence. Like when someone, just like I just said, a competent court of law finds you guilty of an offense and your death sentence is passed on you, you see that your right to life is already limited. Then we can talk about trespass. Trespass. When an individual trespasses against another person's right, then your own right is limited. I say it again, students. When you trespass against other people's rights, then your own right becomes what? Limited. And then another limitation we talk about, this one is a limitation to the right to ownership, is what? Public property. So if government takes over a property, then it means what? Your right to ownership is limited once that property is concerned. And so on and so forth. We can go on and on, but because of time, we move on to the differences between citizen and non-citizen. The differences between citizen and non-citizen. So, number one, a citizen is a legal member of the state, while a non-citizen is not a legal member of that state. So a citizen is a legal member, he is a recognized member of a state, while a non-citizen is not, his existence there is not legal. It's not legal, it's not recognized by any law, so to say. Then number two is that a citizen owes duties and obligations to the state, while a non-citizen does not necessarily owe duties and obligations to that state. Then a citizen can serve in any capacity within the state, while a non-citizen cannot. A citizen can serve in any capacity within the state, while a non-citizen cannot. Number four is that a citizen must show loyalty. A citizen must show loyalty to the state. A non-citizen, not that he or she will be causing confusion in the state, no, but somehow he or she must not show loyalty, but a citizen must show loyalty to the state. Then a citizen can vote and be voted for during an election, while a non-citizen cannot. American election is coming up very soon. As a Nigerian, you cannot go to America and have the right to vote and be voted for. No, because you are not a citizen. It's only when you acquire the citizenship of the country through any of the ways we discussed here, then that is when you are eligible to vote and be voted for. Then the rights, that is the fifth point now, the rights of a citizen are guaranteed, while those of a non-citizen are not guaranteed. So the government is obliged to protect the rights of the citizens of the state. So the rights of a citizen are guaranteed, while those of a non-citizen are not guaranteed. Then finally, the last point we are going to make here is that the life of a citizen is fully under protection of the state, while those of the non-citizen are not fully under protection. It is not that the state will leave the non-citizens and do nothing with them, no. But the lives of a citizen fully, look at that word, fully, they are fully under protection by the state, by the government of the state. It is not negotiable. It is their right to be what? Protected. So the lives of a citizen are what? Fully protected by the state, while those of the non-citizens are not fully protected by the state. So this is where we wrap it up for today, and we take it off from here again during our next lesson. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, stay safe at home. Enjoy yourself. Do not fear about the virus. Very soon, everything is going to be over and we shall be back. Thank you.